Hi everyone, Darleen here from Single Boss Lady. Welcome to season 2 of Tuesday Talks with Darleen. And yes, I had to double check episode 68. I want to talk about having a mindset around client onboarding. When we start out, we start getting those beautiful clients, and client onboarding is an actual foundation. We may not think about actually onboarding our client. What do I mean by that? What I mean is having a beautiful process so that your client feels supported, nurtured, heard, held, all those amazing things, and they actually feel valued. What happens is it starts with someone reaching out and saying, "Can I have a chat with you?" That is the start of client onboarding. Now, having a beautiful standard operating procedure, process, whatever you want to call it, to actually make sure that all of that gets followed helps you to tick all the beautiful boxes so your client will feel valued. So again, the first step is when they reach out and say, "I want to have a chat with you." What you do then is up to you. I love to, it depends where either they message my page or they've emailed me. Then I actually email them back or PM, whichever, and I'll say, "Great, this is a link to my calendar, book in." When they book in, then of course they get the first email. I set up other emails as well because I like to have 3 reminders, one for a week before, one for 2 days before, and one for an hour before. In those emails, I have all the dates, including when the meeting is at their time, because I have international clients. I have people contacting me from overseas, from different areas, and I want to make sure they get an email that's got details in their time. Because I use Zoom. In Zoom, I've got it all in my own time, and I use Acuity. In there, it is all in my time. That's why I love setting up an email, setting up a beautiful, email sequence so they get those reminders. And then the next step, of course, will be having that beautiful call with them to see if you are, and I love to see if we're a right fit, because if we're not a right fit, then I don't want to work with somebody and take their money because I feel like, oh, I can take their money, I can kind of help them. No, I want to make sure that we're going to work together beautifully with the right energy, all of that stuff, and that they're actually my ideal client, because I do have a set parameter of who I work with. I can't work with everybody. It's not possible. And these are the people that I really want to work with because I feel that I can support them the most. Now, if for some reason they're not the right client, then that is where they get off-boarded. So I send an email saying, "Thank you for your time. Just following up to let you know that this is who I've recommended that you may want to look at. And thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you on my socials." Something like that. Now, of course, if they actually want to work with us, then they get all the information to pay, to book in, everything. And I have other sequences in there. They'll get emails before a session. They'll get emails, at frequent intervals to see how they're going when they've been working with me. Is there anything I can do differently? All of this is client onboarding. Now, having a client onboarding book that has all the different things in there, including the terms and conditions that you've agreed upon, that you've actually said to the client, "This is my terms and conditions," including refunds, all of that kind of stuff, rescheduling. Having that all in there is a beautiful, beautiful onboarding. It's just something extra that you may not receive. And to provide that to them, just they go, wow, making sure that that client onboarding book isn't too big. So it's a PDF, like I do a PDF, that's how it's done. You want to make sure that it's not too much, because then what I do is I then have a workbook for a month. So we do 4 sessions. The 5th one is a review. There are things in there, including journaling questions. They've got areas for notes for the session, all of that beautiful stuff they get provided. This is all onboarding stuff that they actually get. Now, of course, if they then, finish the program and they don't want to continue, you do an offboarding process and you do follow up with them, maybe in a month, 3 months, 6 months, just tap in and go, look, I'm just following up just to see how you're going, because you don't want to, be pushy. Like I've seen a lot of people be really pushy. You don't want that, but you want them to know that you value them working with you and that you do like to follow up. Now, I like to tell my clients that I follow up with them, so they actually expect an email, because if you don't tell them about the email, then they're going to go, oh, it will feel pushy. Now, I did say I was going to talk about mindset. I just wanted you to understand what I meant by client onboarding. It means that you really nurture that client. You make them feel valued. Now, there can be a mindset around this, which is why a lot of people struggle with actually having a process, doing that beautiful process. The mindset is all of the things that can come up, the fears, the beliefs, like, oh, I don't really need one because I'm only going to work with them for a few sessions. I don't feel that, it's value for me. It's too much work to do. It means it's something else I've got to do. The client might feel overwhelmed. It's something extra they've got to do or they've got to have. All of these can come up, which can affect our mindset. And what I would love for you to do is step into the mindset of your client. Now, imagine your client receives beautiful email reminders worded in a way that feels divine to them. Think about how amazing that is. Remember when you get onto webinars or workshops or even sessions and you've got to try and find where the link is and everything. Providing that is a beautiful way that the client then doesn't have to go searching. And in Acuity, for me, it actually has a button, add to Google Calendar or iCal, whatever. So the client can actually put it in their calendar. And I do the same as well, because I make sure that my appointments are in my Google Calendar. I want to show up for my clients. I want to show up for anyone that's turned up for a beautiful podcast interview. I do the same thing with my podcast interviews. I have a whole process. My mindset is so much better. When you have a beautiful process and have all of these things that you feel the client needs, as long as it's not overwhelming, I will emphasize that, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. And setting that up so that when you get somebody come in, they can do all that stuff because you've set it up beautifully. The mindset is an amazing thing, and it will change as you grow. When you start out, you might feel overwhelmed by thinking that you need to have an onboarding and offboarding process. It can happen. You're just like, oh, no, it's another thing I've got to do. Like, oh, do I have the time to do that? That's okay. That's a mindset. What you can do is you can buy a template and you can just start doing little things, like on each page, have your website, or have your website if you've got one. And then, just do little things at a time. Write out what you think would be great for that client onboarding book. What do they want? What do you feel that they want? And every day, just do one, spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most if you want, just at that book. And guess what? It will get done. And then when you actually start doing that process, yes, things may get missed. That's okay. Add that step into your standard operating procedure. Add that beautiful step in. Now, I love Asana because I've actually got the steps and I can tick off and date when it's actually been done. Then you start using the standard operating procedure better and better. And guess what? Your mindset changes. It's like, oh, I haven't actually missed anything. This is actually exciting. So what I've got is I've got a template for that standard operating procedure. New client, I duplicate that template, add their name in and go boom. It just is amazing. And then when you keep using that standard operating procedure and keep refining what's happening, because your clients will provide information. they will say, I felt that workbook was too overwhelming, or there wasn't enough in there for me, or I'm not sure what you meant by this. Then you refine things, and your standard operating procedure will change as you go along. And when you start growing and growing, things will change as well, including your mindset. Now you can do all beautiful things to actually work on your mindset to improve things quicker. You can work with a mindset mentor like me. You can work with coaches. You can work with mentors. You can, whoever you want to work with, spiritual coaches, whatever it is. When you work with someone on a regular basis that supports your mindset, yes, I have a business coach as well, then things can actually happen quicker and quicker and quicker. Pretty beautiful, amazing, isn't it? I love working on my mindset on a regular basis. I look at my standard operating procedures, what needs to change. I even have a standard operating procedure for these Tuesday talks and now Arty Thursdays for my episodes, because these are my episodes. I've got one for when I have interviewees on. And it's just amazing to look at that and go, wow, I created that. And it makes my life easier, which gives me more time in my business and more time in my life. Because when you have that, you can check things off really quickly, more time, and it feels amazing. This has been a beautiful talk about mindset of client onboarding. And yes, I did provide you information on what it actually means. Thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, supporting me in all those beautiful ways to get my messages out there and reach more people.